Well. Here we are then. 2 months late. Listen, I'm going to try and keep this part of the video very brief and say that, as you can tell by the title and hopefully the length of this video, this is a video all about my first ever 24 hours of Le Mans race. And for that reason, it is a very special video. However, that is not the reason that it's 2 months late. That requires a tiny bit of backstory, which you guys definitely are owed at this point. So there I was, first ever 24-hour race, so excited, and I bring 2 cameras with me. I bring my Sony ZV-1, and I also bring my Canon G7X. I make a 2-part video, the first part being all about the explanations. It was scripted, there were certain parts of me being in the paddock and in certain areas of the racetrack, and we then went into a vlog portion of the video. Now, the first part of that video was filmed on the Sony for the most part, and it turns out that everything recorded on the Sony over that weekend was muted. So you'll imagine my surprise when I go to import all the footage and everything was mute. Now, I did mention this in my Silverstone vlog. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. I mentioned how I was using my Rode Wireless Go 2s and my Sony together. Something didn't work. They didn't get on that weekend. They were not being in the teammate spirit that I would have expected from them. Long story short, I could never get the audio back. My Rode Wireless Go 2 mics were wiped for some reason. So yes, there is an explainer part of this video. It's me talking, asking questions, and then at certain points it goes to me in the paddock or wherever I am, pit lane, and those parts of the video have had to been voice-overed. I think that's why it's taken me so long to edit this video, because I just truly didn't know what to do about that. I did think, what if I read my own lips? I've seen the videos, people do it. We've all seen people trying to read Emily Blunt's lips on the red carpet, JLo's lips, okay? I thought, what if I read my own lips and try and voice over it like nothing was wrong? That lasted about 2 minutes. So instead, for that first bit, the technical bit, it's just me talking and then I'll voice over certain sections of the video. That took a while to do as well. And then for the vlog portion, well, that vlog portion covered Saturday and Sunday, so the 2 race days. And on Saturday, when I went to the track, I realized I had forgotten my Sony camera at the hotel. I was stressed, I was panicking. Thank you. Honestly, thank the heavens above that I forgot that Sony on that day. Otherwise we would have no footage with sound. I don't know if you're following what I'm saying. I'm trying to explain it in the easiest way possible, but basically lots of footage over the entire course of the video was muted. I always want to try and get it as right as I can. Sadly, this time my vision can't be fully executed the way I want it to, but we are going to try and make the most of it. I hope you guys enjoy this video anyway. It's raining. It's raining a lot. So this weekend we're going to a WEC race. The World Endurance Championship is made up of 8 rounds, and this weekend we're going to round 4. But this isn't just round 4 of the World Endurance Championship. This is one of the biggest sporting events in the entire world. One of the most iconic, dangerous and extreme races ever. This is the 24 Hours of Le Mans. 325,000 people attended the race last year and 113 million viewers watched it on TV. But what actually is the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and what is the experience actually like? I know I'm wondering the same thing, but good news is we don't have to wonder anymore, because this weekend I am heading to Le Mans. We are heading to the 24-hour race, ticking it off our bucket list, and I am sure as hell gonna bring you guys along with me. So, what actually is the 24 Hours of Le Mans? Well, it kind of does what it says on the tin. It's a race that lasts 92? No. It's a race that lasts 24 hours, and this year is the 92nd running. It's steeped in history and heritage, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it is a little bit confusing. So let's break it down. How does this race actually work? Well, from my understanding, come Saturday, there will be 62 cars on the grid, but they won't all be racing each other. The 62 cars on the grid are made up of 3 different classes: Hypercar, LMP2 and LMGT3. Basically, there's 3 races that are going to be going on during the 24 hours. So the hypercars will race the hypercars, the LMP2s will race the LMP2s, and the LMGT3 will race the LMGT3 cars. To keep things simple, hypercar is the fastest type of car. It's kind of the top level. And I am very excited to be here this weekend and being brought to Le Mans by Exxonmobil and Mobil 1, which I can't thank them enough for bringing me. But they partner with 4 different teams, and those are the 4 teams that we're going to be following this weekend. So there's Cadillac, Porsche Penske Motorsport, Hertz Toyota, and Toyota Gazoo Racing. And they're all going for that prize in Le Mans. And one question I have going into this weekend, which I'm excited to find out more about, is do all of these different classes share the same paddock? Do they all share the same pit lane? Okay guys, you actually, you have to laugh, otherwise I actually will cry. It pains me so much to see this footage and know that I was clearly making a very coherent point or cohesive point, and now not knowing exactly what I said. But essentially I was answering the question that I had just asked in the video, and I'm saying we're here now in the working paddock. So this paddock houses all of the different teams across all hypercar, LMP2 and LMGT3. It's not really as structured as I would have thought in that way. So the purple building behind me, that's the team of an LMP2 team, and then that's right next to Cadillac Racing, which has hypercars in their team. So it's very mismatched in that way. And I actually tour one of these structures with Hertz Team Jota later on in the video. But these buildings that you can see behind me that are in the working paddock, they house the driver rooms, they house the tyre rooms, and then they go through into the more concrete structures, which are the garages. So I suppose if you're looking at it at a bird's eye view, from the left it's the pit lane, and then the garages, and then these working paddock structures, the working paddock, and then the hospitality paddock, which I think I just showed you just there. And each team has a hospitality suite. Obviously it's a very long race, so they each have hospitality suites, and I'm showing you the Hertz Jota garage here as well, which, as I say, we go for a little tour with later. But yeah, it wasn't as structured as I thought, even down to in the pit lane. I would have thought all the hypercar pit boxes were at one end, and then LMP2, LMGT3, but everything is mixed in that sense. I also run into Nick de Vries in this clip. I don't remember what we're talking about. I honestly could not tell you. It's actually quite fun. I wish I could know what we were saying. So yeah, these are between the working paddock buildings. I'm showing you in here that those go through into the pit lane. Okay, and then as you can see, we have made our way down into the pit lane here. It's very, very colourful. So all of the garages are grouped by team, but they're not necessarily grouped by category. It's also very long, as you can imagine, with so many cars. And in this clip here, you can see a Ferrari hypercar coming towards us. This is not the car that won. I'm pretty sure this is the car of Robert Schwartzman. So yeah, lots going on. And to be honest, the access is amazing to be this close to the cars, and you can see the pit lane is very busy on this day. Now you may be wondering, how the heck does a race go on for 24 hours? How does someone drive a car for 24 hours? I can barely drive it for 2 without hitting something. But that's a me problem because I'm not a very good driver. Well, actually, each car in each series has 3 drivers, meaning 186 drivers will actually actively take part in this race. They take it in turns to drive, and that is something that I have never experienced before, because generally speaking, in single-seater racing, your teammate is your biggest rival. They're the only other person on the grid that has the same car as you, and therefore they're the one you want to beat the most. However, in WEC, and especially during the 24-hour race, teamwork is everything.
So, I mean, in F1, yeah, you see your teammates' data and you might discuss certain things, but you always, in the back of your mind, you know that he's the first person you have to beat, because you got the same equipment and that's how you're judged. Here, I guess you are a little bit, but you're really working together to develop the car together, because you either win or you lose together as teammates. It's very different, and it's all about the teamwork at Le Mans. You know, a 24-hour race, you have to have a good understanding between teammates and also the engineers, because when you're out on track, you can't see what's going on around you, so it's all down to the engineers, strategists in the pits, and your teammates to really have a good understanding of what's happening. So There's a lot of discussions going on.
But I have a million questions. How is the driver order decided? What happens when your teammate crashes your car? I mean, this race must take so much physical, mental preparation. So before the weekend starts, I am going to speak to Norman Nato, who is part of the Hertz Jota team, with Will Stevens and Callum Ilott as his teammates. And I'm excited to speak to him because he definitely has some first-hand experience of how intense these preparations can be. Because last night, on Wednesday night, his teammate Callum Ilott crashed the car and they're currently having to rebuild it. Given that these cars take roughly 3 weeks to build and the race is in 2 days, I am very interested to see what the vibe is like in the team and what teamwork actually means during this race. Ready?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Let me cry a bit and then we go again.
Okay, that's great content. Can you just do it on camera? How is it to race in your home country, first and foremost?
Well, first of all, yeah, it's quite nice. I can speak in French in the paddock with many people, which is normally not the case.
You taught me a bit of French last time.
Yeah, so what do you remember of it?
Je suis Norman Nato.
Wow.
That's what you told me. So tell me, you were racing in France, obviously, but this is one of the biggest races in the world. How do you mentally, physically, emotionally prepare for a race like this?
Yeah, it's a good question because at the end it's one of the races where you have to kind of prepare like differently than the other races in a way that it's a long week. Le Mans, it's not only 24 hours. We arrived last week on Thursday.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We had the pesage, which is something which is quite famous in Le Mans. Like, so it's a scrutineering in the middle of the city center. There's a lot of fans. It's a cool moment as well where we do the team picture. You know, like this time there's no pressure. It's just about like trying to look good and spending some time with the fans and the team.
That's your favorite part.
Of course. You can wear the sunglasses, you know. So you buy a new pair before to come to Le Mans. So I hope you will like my new sunglasses. Give some comments. Just physically and mentally, like. I'm doing also Formula E after Shanghai. The last 2 weeks before coming to Le Mans, I've been just trying to sleep as much as possible to prepare.
I can't wait. This is my first Le Mans.
It is.
So I have so many questions. I mean, tell me about the actual day in your life when it comes to the race day, in terms of like, is there anything weird that you eat, or do you guys sleep? How does it all work? Like, what's the day in the life going to be like for you tomorrow?
I think we all have a different routine in a way that I like to, as soon as I jump out of the car, for example, like to not stay in the garage. I like to go. First thing I do, I showers and I have a small treatment. I eat and I try to just relax. I don't manage to sleep a lot, but at least I'm trying to relax, and that's the same routine pretty much for 24 hours. I also like to do, like, especially at night when it's you have to wake up and jump in the car. You have to be sharp straight away. So sometimes it's good to do a small warm up. But honestly, like, we all like behave differently, and it's not like something which you do every time before you jump in the car. It depends also of your feelings. So yeah, I don't have anything in particular.
And when are you driving? And how is it decided who drives when?
Well, we have a strategy before the race, that's for sure. But as you know, like, because of can be red flag or whatever, like strategy situation can change all the time. So that's why, like, we have 2 physio who are here to kind of manage all these things. So for us, basically, like, we have the easy job, like, to just drive the car and not think. It is like, you know, to drive this car in Le Mans. It's so easy, especially when it rains. You see nothing. Honestly, it's easy. But at least, like, when we jump out of the car, the good thing is that you have people like not sleeping for 24 hours and just doing the best for us, meaning like preparing the food. So when you jump out of the car, you know that you have this kind of food waiting for you. You don't have to wait or lose time for this kind of thing. And it's pretty much the same like with the treatment. When you have to wake up, when you have to be ready in the garage, this kind of thing, you know, it's like nothing you have to think about. It's Suzy and P, actually, are the name of our 2 physios. So thanks to them for taking care of us.
What stint are you going to drive during the race?
Not sure yet, honestly. With what happened yesterday, we kind of try to first of all see what's going to be the plan regarding the car. But yeah, everything is kind of delayed. So at the end, like, let's say if today on the paper I'm supposed to drive at 10 p.m., it might be like 12, just because everything has moved because of the strategy.
Well, thanks for explaining all of that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to hear about what happened to the car. But how do you kind of cope with that as a team? And I mean, I suppose you're going to say it could have been any of us that caused that incident or caused the damage to the car. But how are you feeling, and how do you process it all together?
Yeah, honestly, as you just say, it's part of the job. I mean, it can happen. We're all here to push, and sometimes like you're doing a bit too much, and it doesn't work. So it's one of these days. At the end, honestly, like the only thing I would like to say is a big thanks to the team, to the mechanics. They haven't been sleeping much for last 2 days. It's a lot of work for them. They are rebuilding the car completely, which normally takes them more than a week normally to do that, and this time they do it in 1 day and a half.
So there we have it, but let's recap quickly how the driver structure works. So let's say the race is measured in stints. One stint is generally the time it takes for the car to use up an entire tank of fuel, which is roughly an hour, which means there's 24 stints in a race, right? So how those stints are divided up are based on the strategy and how the drivers and the team want to go about that. They can do 3 stints in a row, or they can alternate. But that's not the only time the cars will pit. They'll also pit for fuel. The drivers will come in just to change tyres. So the cars are in and out of the pits a lot. And you might be wondering, how does a driver change actually work? Well, let's find out. So as you can see here in the Hertz Team Jota garage, there is a driver in the orange helmet who's about to start his next stint. He's holding his own seat in his hands, and as soon as the car comes into the pits, he will approach the car, and the driver who's currently doing their stint will get out of the car and he'll take his seat out with them. That's one thing that the drivers are in charge of, are putting in their own seat and taking it out as well. You can see, I think this is Will Stevens getting out of the car. He's just finished his stint. He hands off his seat to one of his engineers, mechanics, and he heads into the back to go and follow the rest of his rest routine. You also may have just seen them taking off a visor from the windshield of the car. They're refueling the car, and then it's ready to go back out. The tyres on the car aren't changed every time there's a driver change. The car can actually go up to 3 stints with the same set of tyres. Each car has 12 sets of types of tyres. One tyre weighs 22 kilos, and each car spends about £60,000 on tyres just for this one race. Having spent time with the Hertz Jota team and having learned all the stats that I just gave you, I can truly say that there is just nothing like this. But as Jensen Button was saying earlier today when we got the chance to speak to him, this is truly a race against man and machine. I don't think we actually give enough, well, I certainly haven't, up until this point, given enough thought to how incredible the machine that runs for 24 hours is. One car, 3 drivers, but that car, of course, it has to be fast, but more importantly than that, it has to be reliable. And so the cars need to be prepped and taken care of just as much as the drivers and all of the team does as well. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the cars will come in sometimes just to refuel, sometimes they'll come in to refuel and driver change, sometimes they'll come in to refuel, driver change and change the tyres, sometimes they'll just come in to change the tyres. There's lots of different types of pit stops. But the cars most often come in for fuel. So let's talk about fuel very quickly, because as I mentioned earlier, the 4 teams that we are kind of following this weekend are all technical partners of Exxonmobil and Mobil 1. Mobil 1 celebrates their 50th anniversary this year, and they are such an integral partner to these teams because they truly help with the running and reliability of all of the parts of the car and the engine. What I mean by this is that Mobil 1 simultaneously cools and protects the engines during the extremes of the race. And all of the technology that's then gathered out on track is then transferred into the real world and what we drive out in the road. Well, 2 questions I still have then. Number 1, how do you win? It's actually not who crosses the checkered line, the checkered flag first. This race is about distance, so it's about the car that can cover the most distance in 24 hours. That is a little bit confusing, I know. And second of all, well, who's gonna win? The $1 million question. I have to say, eyes are definitely on Ferrari, Toyota and Porsche coming into the weekend. Of course, Ferrari won last year and Porsche have been very, very successful here before, as have Toyota Gazoo Racing. But this weekend, I also get to speak to Andre Lotterer, who has won the 24 Hours of Le Mans 3 times before. And he's going to start at the very front of the grid for the 2024 24 Hours of Le Mans because he is on hyperpole, and so I have to ask him all about it. Alrighty everybody, we are here now with Andre Lotterer. Andre, hyperpole yesterday. Congratulations. How are you feeling about this weekend?
Yeah, thank you. It was great. You have to congratulate Kevin because he did the lap, so it's a great feeling. It was a really cool moment for the sport and for the whole team.
This will be your 13th year.
I think so, yeah. That will be my 13th,
and
but I've won it three times. Yeah. Maybe I know what it feels like, you know, and to stand up there is one of the best feelings you can get in motorsport, to be on that podium. So the hunger for wanting it again and wanting to win it a fourth time is a big motivation. It was 10 years ago, last time I won, different cars, different rules, so it always changes, so you always need to adapt and extract the maximum out of everything and go through all the new challenges again, you know.
I mean, it's amazing, three-time winner. How has winning Le Mans and how has Le Mans in general changed your life?
Winning Le Mans is something really, really cool, really special, you know, because we've all worked very hard to achieve this point in motorsport, at this professional level. You know, a lot of sacrifices and to go through karting and everything. I got a lot of support from my parents, but you know, it was not always easy financially. We had to we were broke, you know. So, but we kept going. They found a way, and so when you win a race like this, it's saying thank you to all the people that believed in you when you were a kid, when you were younger, and that gave you the opportunity to get there. So it's a nice gift for them, of course, for yourself as well. But and I think there's no other race that gives you such maybe if you win Formula One World Championship or if you win in Monaco, it's something that stays with you forever. It's kind of written on your forehead. Oh, you're a Le Mans winner, you know. So,
you should get it written forever. Get like a tattoo or something.
Yeah, and then it changes. It's kind of a race that changes your life, you know, like because you enter this exclusive club of legendary drivers, and you get invited to nice events. You know, you set yourself apart from others, and it's the race that everyone wants to win.
Yeah.
It's one of these things that is pretty cool.
So I guess the scene is pretty set then at the 38-turn, 8.4-mile Circuit de la Sarthe. Now that we've kind of touched the basics of all of the technicalities and logistics and how the race actually works, I also feel like it just wouldn't be right not to bring you guys along for the entire experience. So I'm gonna be vlogging the next Saturday and Sunday because I want to bring you guys on my own personal kind of diary and journey on my first ever 24 Hours of Le Mans, and more importantly, whether I actually stay up for 24 hours or not. Thank you guys for making this possible for me and for supporting me the way you do, and thank you to Exxonmobil and Mobil 1 for bringing me along this weekend. All right, are you ready to do it? I am. So let's roll the vlog. Okay, we're in the queue waiting to go on the grid. It's so busy, but there are so many people waiting here. Hello. And everyone's very friendly. Okay, this grid is insane and it's so quiet. No one's speaking. We're at the very front of the hypercar class on the grid. That's why it's like super busy.
See how you do under pressure. I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era.
Should be.
Sure.
It's a pleasure to see you.
So we're on the grid and all the cars line up by class. So we're currently in the LMP2 section. How many people do you think are on the grid right now? About, I don't know, a good few thousand. Yeah. As you can see. Where are we? The race has now started. I'm in the bathroom. I cannot see a thing. Whenever I wear any kind of heavy eye makeup,
It goes all over my contact lenses. Can't see a thing. Haven't been able to see a thing for about 3 hours. I'm not even joking. Whole grid was a blur. So you always make fun of me because a couple of years ago in Silverstone I had no contact lenses, and it's now just become something you all know about me, but I'm going to change them because I can't see.
4:39, so we're 39 minutes in.
Oh, you can't see it? Yeah, you've just started raining. I'll show you. So things might get interesting now.
It is now very heavy rain near where we are. Start and finish line. So
Your pedals and everything in the right place, and try and find the best balance.
I changed, full tracksuit has gone on. It's about 9:15 now, so the race has been on for about 5.5 hours, and it's really cold. And we're about to go to a special viewing platform. Obviously this is a huge track. I think it's over 8 miles, 8.5 miles. So there's so many different parts of it, and we've kind of just seen the straight all day. So I think we're going to a separate part. I need to find out where exactly. But yeah, I'm wearing full tracksuit. I'll show you outside. So we've been spending most of the day in here in the Porsche hospitality. This is my personal Le Mans hat, which is to bring a full change of clothes. Okay. New Balance. New Balance shoes. Not sponsored by New Balance. We're in the van now. Where are we going?
We are going. Alex can answer this.
No, I don't want to be on telly.
Oh, on Tilly. It's raining. It's raining a lot. Second Le Mans tip from me is to bring an umbrella. It's raining so much. So there's a yellow flag. We're in this little hideout. It's actually very peaceful, I have to say. Okay, yes, she may have fallen asleep, but there was a very long safety car throughout the night, which was very lucky for me. So at around 12 p.m, there was 3 hours left, just enough time for a tour of the Porsche garages. So we headed straight into the spare parts room, which is insane. There will always be at least 2 spare chassis and 6 front and rear wings. Porsche is one of the bigger teams in the sport. They have a lot of history here, and so they tend to have even more than the regular teams, maybe the newer teams like Alpine. We headed into the drivetrain room, and then these are all of the tires that I was telling you guys about earlier. And then we headed into the actual garage, and you can just see my face. I can't actually believe I'm here. One of the Porsche cars did DNF, and so we saw the garage door closing, which apparently is a bit of a Le Mans tradition. But other than that, they're always filled with deck chairs where the team also have to sit down and rest. Then the car came in and we saw a tyre change. They were refueling, cleaning the windscreen, and then the car headed back out and I headed into the paddock. It was very rainy, and I was also saying here that overnight one of the Cadillacs had DNF'd. You can see these structures have screens on them, so lots of people are huddling outside to watch. It was a crazy atmosphere 2 hours before the end of the race here. Very, very wet, but I could just tell that everyone was excited to see what was going to happen. And at this point, it was very much a fight between Toyota and Ferrari. Of course, Ferrari came out on top, so we found our way to the podium and we had to watch this iconic moment.